The views expressed on the following broadcasts do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT, Take 12 Radio, or our affiliates. The opinions on this show are those of the host, co-host, and guest. Take 12 Radio and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting are not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship.
What kind of a show are you guys putting on here today?
Get ready for a no-nonsense approach to recovery. It's that guy who's living the dream rather than dreaming of living. You know him as the Addiction Doctor. Now, here's the Monty Man to introduce Dr. Robb Kelly on this episode of Take 12 Recovery Radio's The Robb Kelly Hour.
That's right, my friends. Welcome aboard to another episode with our friend and yours, the Addiction Doctor, Dr. Robb Kelly. Dr. Robb, how the heck you doing, buddy?
Woo-hoo, doing good today, man. Good to see you again.
Yes.
I've missed you for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. It seems like they go by awful slow when you don't talk to each other. So
I know.
Yeah. So you're a busy guy. You do a lot of traveling, don't you?
I do. I visit patients around the country. My main one at the moment, I have 4 patients in Boca Raton, which is in Florida, for those people who live over in Texas might not know.
Right.
So yeah, from Texas to Florida, every 4 weeks I'm away for a week.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of work. And so I'll tell you that the recovery community and the world appreciates all the work you do, my friend, because you're a no-nonsense approach to recovery, and these people need that. They don't need any messing around. They need the real deal. Well, what do you got for us on this episode, brother?
Oh, man, I got some good stuff today. So I was thinking about this all week, we talked about the 12 steps. We talked about, different people in recovery and how we do that. But today, well, 2 topics for today I've got. Breaking the chain of addiction, obviously, and then the lesson of hanging around people who lift you up and not put you down. And these are 2 true stories that I'm going to tell you, and then we'll get into the conversation about either one of them or both. So,
good deal.
So that's what we're talking about. So let's talk about people around you.
Yeah.
So in recovery, or in general, but mostly in recovery, we're sensitive people, and there's a reason for that. The alcoholic brain is different to the normal brain. It's been proven by science. I've done my own research. So show me your friends, I'll show you your future is the line that I'm going to use. So who you hang around with is who you become. How people treat you is who you become. So this organization, scientists in England, and they wanted to try out something. So they went to the local school, and they said to the headmaster, we'd like to do like an exam on all your, I don't know how many 60 pupils in the school. So he said, what's it for? And he said, well, this exam will show us who are the top 5 geniuses in your school. Well, of course, the headmaster said, oh my goodness, yes, we want to do that. Obviously we want to do that. So the next day they went in with this test. It was a paper, and they gave it to all the 60 children. And they had an hour to complete it, and then they collected the test papers, and they said, we'll be back tomorrow with the result. So the next day, true as anything, they came back, and he said, okay, we have the top 5. And he named the top 5. It's Peter, Paul, it's Judy, or whatever it was, 5 pupils. And the headmaster went, oh my God. Well, she surprised me because she's not as bright, or we didn't think, but how interesting. So they said that they'd pop back in a year to see how everything's doing. So a year later, they went back and they said, hey, how's our 5-star pupils doing? And the headmaster said, unbelievable. How you knew that is beyond us, but you were right. There are 5 geniuses. They get straight A's. They're great at sports. Their life has just flourished. Since you came here. It's unbelievable. And then the scientist said to the headmaster, well, here's the deal. When we left the premises a year ago, we threw the papers away because they were de minimis. There was no importance. And then we left you for a day and we came back. So the headmaster said, I'm amused. How did you know the 5 kids were going to sparkle and be, the amazing A-list kids? And he said, we didn't. but we gave you 5 names. And because you treated them as the 5 genius in that school, so they become the 5 genius in that school. And all 5 kids went on to be captains of industry and everything. But the exam actually showed that the 5 kids were about 36 and 25 registered in the 60, and they weren't that bright at all because people chose them. The teachers were, using them as different, putting them on a higher pedestal, speaking differently to them, so they become. So a lesson from that is be careful who you hang around with, because if you have people who build you, and I don't mean take all the BS off you, I mean properly build you up, then you're going to go places. You know, again, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. And I get that sometimes in the 12-step rooms is you want to kind of hang around with the guys that give the good stories. The only problem is, I've seen people with great stories that keep relapsing and relapsing, and they've not read the book and they don't know what it's all about. And I hung around them guys, and it was devastation after devastation, and I couldn't get it. So I choose somebody else to hang around. I later found out many years later, because I kept relapsing and relapsing, that they weren't real alcoholics. The book mentions real alcoholics 7 times. So I didn't know what that meant. But when I finally got to do the program properly and read the book properly, the step 1 doesn't say we are all powerless over alcohol, or we're with an apostrophe. It says we were powerless. We're not powerless anymore once we read the book and do the program.
That's right.
We have a defense against the first drink. And that's what I want to talk about for 10 minutes. And then I've got another scenario about breaking the chain. But it's interesting how we, especially when we're drinking, I get a lot of this when patients come. It's like, oh my God, my husband's being mean to me. My husband's doing this. My husband's doing that. And I say, look, here's the deal. That was going on all your life. You just didn't want to notice it because of your drinking. And you allowed him to treat you that way, and you allowed the kids to treat you that way. And the book talks about that, about the farmer coming out of the house and saying, hey, nothing wrong here, Ma. It's the same thing. So when we first get sober, we can't expect everybody to treat us different. Even if you've had the spiritual awakening, psychic change, which means that your DNA has changed. My research, look it up on the internet. I've never had that, and that's why I kept struggling. So surround yourself with good guys, peeps out there. The good guy, any sensible guy that's been in any 12-step room for a period of time, you know who they are. They're the guys making coffee and sweeping up. They're the guys talking to newcomers. They're the guys reading out the book when they share. You look at them, you see the face, you see how they dress. They may be a janitor, they may be a CEO, but they have something special in their eyes. You can tell, And this is the deal with recovery is, people use it blasé. I mean, everybody wants to fit in. Every alcoholic wants to fit in when they go to a 12-step meeting. And if 99% of the rooms go, hey, my name's Billy and I'm an alcoholic, then you're going to join in and say the same. And you're going to become part of that pact.
Sure.
First of all, you need to decide, because I ask people in 12-step rooms, what's an alcoholic? And they say someone who drinks so much alcohol and wants to stop. And I get the chills. It's like, oh my God, is that what you're saying in these rooms?
They don't know.
How many people have you killed? How many people have you killed with that sentence? It goes far beyond that.
Let me ask you a question, Dr. Robb. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Now, I am all for developing new friendships within our 12-step rooms. I think that's a wonderful thing. I'm all for the dances and the campouts and the parties and all that stuff. That's all great. But don't you think that when many newcomers come into the rooms, because they're so hungry for healthy fellowship, their tendency is to maybe it's not even their own fault, but their tendency is to gravitate towards people who have similar war stories. And so then they start hanging out with them, and they're not the healthiest people in the rooms. And that is a major contributor why people don't actually dig into the book and do the work, because it becomes fellowship oriented, not program oriented.
Oh, very true. I mean, someone who's got a great story, because they all have them. We had one in our group many years ago.
Yeah.
And 50 years sober, and the only time he would speak is when the young girls come in hungover, and he would brag about his 50 years. of course, I would share next and say, what have you done, you miserable pig? You've never smiled since I've been coming here. When's the last time you helped somebody? Do you have a sponsor? You sponsored somebody. You know these guys.
Right.
And the good guys to watch, and here's the crux, the good guys that are watch is when they speak and they quote the book. They're the guys you've got to be looking at, because, yeah, of course, we want to fit in with the cool kids. Well, the cool kids might be from a treatment center that they're going to come out and relapse anyway. I don't know. I'm just saying, be careful who you mix. But yeah, people do that. Them war stories are beautiful sometimes when, but if you're sticking in the problem all the time, then that's a warning sign for me. It really is. And if the guy's got 50 sponsees, that's a warning sign for me. And if the guy tells me to call him up every single day and ask what color socks I'm wearing, that's a red flag to me. I mean, then there's loads of guys in the room who are awesome.
Right.
But unfortunately, in our 12 steps room, we allowed the people to come in the early days from treatment centers and tell us how they felt, how depressed they was, and how their life was horrible. And that's not AA or NA or CA or any other A's. That's not, war stories never get us right. But we allowed that to come in, and the 12-step room's buckled completely, and it's been the same ever since. And it's a shame. It's a shame that you have to go into a meeting and try and spot the people who are the real deal. It really is. But that's the problem.
The gentleman that the very first person I ever interviewed 16 years ago, guy named Juan, people would accuse him of being a big book thumper, and his statement to them was always, well, how would you rather be thumped?
Yes, I love that. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Yeah. I get people in the room and they go, I say I'm a recovered alcoholic. I always give my full name. My name's Robb Kelly. I'm a recovered alcoholic. And they come over and, you don't have to say your first name. Yeah, I say my second name. There's no rules against that. And, there's no such thing as recovered. And my reply is, oh, my God, you need to read that book. It's awesome. You have to get to a place, like recovered is mentioned 27 times. Recover is mentioned 17 times. And recovering only mentioned twice. And that's into the wives and the family afterwards. So we have to look that, this is my opinion. Okay, guys, it's my opinion. But it's based on experience of traveling around the world and going to different 12-step meetings. But at any one time, I found in these 12-step meetings that there's probably about 75% of people in any room, anywhere in the world, are not the real deal. The wife has died, or, the wife's saying you drink too much alcohol, or they've had a bad experience with alcohol, and they come to Alcoholics Anonymous and Al-anon and all that great stuff out there, and they sit and talk shit most of the day. So, again, you got to just be careful who you hang around with, As you know, Monty, I bet you've got 1,000 stories of that.
Oh, boy. I've been the pallbearer in way too many funerals.
Yes.
That didn't have to happen. They just didn't. Yeah.
I had a guy once come to me, Monty. He said to me, I shared in the meeting, and he said to me, in an open meeting, he shared at me, and he said, I've got to tell you, if Robb was my sponsor, I'd run a mile with all that aggressive big book. And I looked at him, and I couldn't cross-share, but I pulled him afterwards, and I said to him, first of all, I'm not asking you to be my sponsee. I never asked. The book says his attention should be drawn to you, a recovered alcoholic. And secondly, I won't take you on because you're not the real deal. If you can get pissed about me talking about the book, then you're not in the rooms for the right reason. So what did we do? We started a meeting of our own. We started a meeting in San Antonio. It's called Bring Your Own Big Book, BYOBB. And it's for recovered alcoholics and people that want to recover from the disease.
Yeah, I love that.
If you're coming in to hit on women and, drink the coffee and just be a smart ass, we really would like you to leave,
Yeah.
But, it weeds out. It just, Monty, we're going to have to get you over there one day for this meeting because it would blow your mind. It's a bit like the early days with Chris Reimer.
Those guys.
And that's where I got all my stuff from. It's that guy, because I don't know what I've told you guys out there, but I'll tell you one more time. So many years ago, many years ago, when things were all black and white on the TV, and probably, no, not that far back, but I was asleep in my bed, and 2 o'clock in the morning, this guy, my friend of mine, banging on the door. And I'm like, what the? And he's banging on the door. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, Monty. I open the door, and there he is. And he stood there with his rickety tape. And he's looking at me, and he couldn't hardly talk. He said, Robb, you got to just see this. Just listen. What? I'll do it tomorrow. No. Let's do it now. And we walked over and put it in this old cassette player and pressed the button. And he started off with, my name's Chris Raymer, a recovered alcoholic. And that tape changed my life right there and then. It's like my whole ambition was to be him.
Yeah.
And better, if I could. But
Yeah.
I listened to tapes to him, and he knocked it on there. But I was at a meeting with Myers, and I told him that I was getting beat up in other meetings, and he said, why'd you go to other meetings if they beat you up? Why don't you start your own meeting? And I said, do you go to other meetings? He said, no, why would I? If you want to recover from this BS we're going through, you know where we are. But I'm not fighting with these guys anymore.
Right.
Because I used to a lot. I used to ram it down your throat. But it's like, that's what we did. We took a step back, and it's like, you're not going to be able to change the way they all are right now. There's too many guys who are not real alcoholics in there now.
You know what amazes me, and I get goosebumps when you tell that story, because all these years that have gone by with Take 12 Radio, and you and I were rubbing shoulders with the same people. Myers Raymer, Chris Schroeder, Tony Messbarger, all these different people,
Yes.
That really know their stuff. And,
Mark Houston.
Mark Houston, and bless his heart, I mean, and that guy sponsored a lot of the people that we know,
Yes.
And then things come full circle, and now we have you as one of our broadcasters here at Take 12 Radio. Brother, and let me tell you, listeners, let me tell you something. This is the kind of wonderful magic that happens when you experience the state of recovered through the power of a power greater than you. And when you follow the directions, and, God will not render you as white as snow without your cooperation. And when you do that, and you trust God, not each other, but God, let me tell you, amazing things happen. It's happened to Rob, it's happened to me, and it can happen to you too. You don't want to miss it. Rob, we're going to take a short break and come back, and we're going to continue this. My friends, you've turned into the Robb Kelly Hour with the addiction doctor, Robb Kelly. We'll be back right after this.
When I got back from Iraq, I just couldn't shake the guilt that I came home and 34 other men did not. There isn't a drink or a drug out there that could touch that kind of pain. Believe me, I tried. But when I heard a Teen Challenge story on the radio, I finally decided to get help. This program did for me what nothing else seemed to be able to do. It gave me hope. Now I can finally move on and live my life in a way that honors those who lost theirs.
To locate a Teen Challenge Center near you, or for more information, visit teenchallengeusa.com.
Hey, check it out. You can now access all of our shows from a variety of podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, YouTube, Podomatic, and Player FM. Simply search for Take 12 Recovery Radio, and you'll be tuned into the best in recovery broadcast journalism. Also available at take12radio.com.
Welcome back to the show. You've tuned in to Take 12 Recovery Radio's The Robb Kelly Hour with the addiction doctor, Dr. Robb Kelly. All
Good
right.
to be here, man. Absolutely good. I love this. Listen, I want to tell a quick story that, to inspire people out there, because when I tell this story, it freaks people out. And of course, I want to show the power of God, and I want to show the power of recovery, if I may, for a second.
Absolutely.
So, when I'm homeless, Monty, I was on the streets for 14 months. I was begging. I don't mean couch surfing, guys. I mean literally sleeping in benches and under trees and in bushes. And for 14 months, I dropped down to, I don't know, about 120 pounds. I'm 280 now, by the way. I'm a big guy, big bodybuilding guy. But about 12 months after, 14 months after, I'm walking down the back end of Manchester in the cobbled streets, really dark, nobody goes there. And I dropped down to my hands and knees. I started to cry like a baby. I wasn't crying because I'd lost my wife and my kids. I was crying because the first time in my life I realized I couldn't stop drinking. I remember looking up to the sky and saying, if there's a God up there, I can't do this on my own anymore. 30 seconds later, 2:30 in the morning, guys, this guy walked around the corner. He had a little Bible in his hand. And he said, you okay? You want help? So I said, yeah, I'm dying. So he said, come back to my house. He took me back. He let me shave. He let me train for the first time in a year. And he said, you can stay here for as long as you like, Robbie. You've got to come to this 12-step meeting with me. So I went. I didn't want to go, Monty, but I went because I've seen them meetings before. They were horrible. Anyway, halfway around, this guy said, my name's John and I'm a recovered alcoholic. I walked over to him and I said, after the meeting, I said, would you sponsor me? And he said, no, but I will be your spiritual advisor for a period of 12 weeks, which I thought was weird. He said, come to my house, my apartment, every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Here's my address. Bring a big book and bring a dictionary. And I said, oh, you're okay. I went to Oxford. I don't need. Bring a dictionary. Okay? Every Wednesday, I walked to that man's house at 7 o'clock. It took me an hour to get there, 7 to 8 with him, teaching me the big book, teaching me about God, teaching me about what I have to do in this world, work with his kids. And then an hour back home. So that was 3 hours of my life. I did that for 12 weeks. Okay, when I walked out that man's on the because he did the steps overnight, just like the book. Step 5, go home, and that's what he did. Went home. Back next day, we finished him off. When I walked out that man's house, the stuff he taught me and the stuff that I've been through, I knew that I'd never drink again if we carried on doing what he taught me. So after he said things are going to change from tomorrow, Rob. I'm like, tomorrow I'm living in this guy's house I don't even know in his spare room, doesn't have a bed. Are you kidding me? But the next day I was offered a part-time job, which later that week turned into a full-time job. The week after that, this guy gave me an old car that he was getting rid of so I could at least get to work and back. So after 2 weeks, I got this pay packet. So I went straight to the gas station, the petrol station. I bought him a little teddy bear and a little card. And I said on the card, thank you for introducing me to God. Because God took the compulsion away to drink. And I walked back to that man's house. When I got there, I knocked on the door. There was no answer. Looks like there was nobody there. The next door neighbor come out to the right and she says, can I help you? And I said, yeah. Can you tell me where John's relocated to? And she said, John, not there, love. She said, that's been empty for 6 months that I know of. So I let her close the door. Obviously, she's insane. So I went to the left hand. I knocked on his door and he came out. And I said, can you tell me where John's moved to? And he said, John, there's no one in that apartment for 12 months that I know of. So you've got the wrong apartment. So I went back to the meeting that night and I said, can you remember me talking over near the coffee machine with John? And he said, John. In fact, one guy started sniggering, so I grabbed him by the scruff of the neck. I said, don't you embarrass me in front of all these people. And he pulled me off and he said, no, Rob, no. You was talking to yourself near the coffee machine. I've never found that man. Never found him.
Wow.
Nobody recognizes him, nothing. But the program that he passed down was the real deal. And people started getting well when I started working in the 12-step rooms. And that's how I started to get a reputation of no nonsense. Because he kept telling me that sugarcoating this stuff kills people, Rob.
Yeah.
Are you strong enough, Rob, to go out there and do this? And I did. And I was getting battered in rooms that wasn't really rooms,
Yeah.
But God gave me everything I need. And it just shows you need to look around, guys. If you're seeking recovery, permanent recovery, as the book talks about, look around and see who's around you. There's a message there for you that you don't want to miss. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Isn't that an amazing story?
It is. The good book refers to entertaining angels unaware. That sounds like that's exactly what that was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. It's crazy.
That's a wonderful story. That is a powerful story. Oh, good stuff.
Let's move on to Breaking the Chain.
Yes.
The story, true story. Young girl, 18, 19, went missing in Manchester many years ago. And after a man search, everybody's out looking for this girl. After about 2 or 3 days, he had to call it off because they had less and less people. In the end, it was a cold case file. Police officer following the car down the road that had a faulty signal line. So in England, you're allowed to pull over and search the car. You don't need a warrant. So they pulled over, searched the car, and they found a stolen screwdriver. So in England, again, if you find something stolen on yourself or the vehicle, you're allowed to go back to the house and see what else is stolen. So they go back to their house and they're looking around and they found a few more things is stolen. Then they see a box in this room and it's like 12 foot wide by about 4 foot high. And they said, what's in the box? It had a big padlock on it. And he said, oh, no, it's nothing there. I don't want to look. It's fine, just where I keep my tools. But one cop wasn't happy with that, so he smashed the lock off. And when he opened the box, there was that girl that went missing. And he used to take her out every day and abuse her, feed her, let her go to the restroom and put her back in. For all them months he was doing that. For 9 to 10 months he was doing that every day. So a police officer, the woman police officer, came in and she knelt over. She was alive, the woman. She was beaten and broken, but she was alive. and the police officer put her coat round her, and she helped her step out the box. What's the first thing she did, you think, Monty?
I don't know. The story's blowing me away. Go ahead.
She got back in the box.
Oh, boy.
And there's a lesson for alcoholics who want recovery.
Yeah.
Stop getting back in the box, because that's what we do. You need to smash the box. You need to burn it. You need to smash it with a hammer to make sure you never go there, because that's how our mind's programmed. When everything's not going well, we want to get back in the box. We want to go and drink and use and all that stuff. And mentally, we need to break that chain of never going back there, because that's all she knew. It's like drug and alcoholics when you relapse. You know, are you hard on them? I'm hard on them, but I don't blame them. What else are they going to do? If they ever have the psychic change and spiritual awakening, DNA change, of course they're going to drink and use. You know, the book says the same man are going to drink again.
Right.
You know? So it's about breaking that box, stepping out the box and walking out of that room and getting this life that's absolutely beyond your wildest dream. I tell people now, if you come here as a patient, you know, you'll see a change from day one. And they all go, no, Rob, I've been to loads of treatment centers. You will see a change from day one. And I will guarantee that you can recover. Mm-hmm. And if you don't recover whilst following my program, I will refund your parents every dime they put into my office. And people think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
It's like you're either in or you're out, guys. You know, you're either in or you're out.
So let me ask you this. So one of the things that I teach at the Adult and Teen Challenge residential program is about, and I'm not schooled or educated like you are as far as neuroplasticity goes to the degree that you are by any means. But one of the things that's very easy for these men to understand is the front part of the brain versus the back part of the brain, and how the front part of the brain, you know, deals with cause and effect and moral issues and our moral compass and all that. And when that's attacked by something like toxic as alcohol or narcotics, how the back part of the brain will shut the front part down to put it in survival mode, and then the back part of the brain will act on things like we always acted on them. We revert back to old behaviors because that's what we've learned very slowly but never forgot. Does that speak to what you're talking about, going back to the box?
Definitely. So what you have to remember with alcoholics is a predisposition. You're born this way. Yeah. Again, guys, you can't drink yourself into becoming an alcoholic. Drugs are a little bit different. We can talk about it in another show, but let's talk about alcoholism. So your predisposition, central nervous system is all wired up to go. But the reason why we're born this way is that our brain it can be remapped by trauma. And we have to really look at trauma and what it is. So the brain's distorted through trauma. As we grow up, we find alcohol. So what we have in our head is self-sabotaging neural pathways. Yeah. The self-sabotage. And the book talks about that, building a bright life for him and his family. It's the same thing, but the medical science part of it is there's more neural pathways that want to self-sabotage than there is that want to succeed in self-care. And the idea of neuroplasticity and neuro-linguistic programming is to change so we have more self-care and amazing life than we have self-sabotaging. But here's the crux. The self-sabotaging is always going to be there. And it comes from the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is kind of a fight or flight part of the brain, about the base towards the back, like you said, Monty. And what happens is, for normal people, it tells them when to run, when to freeze, when to fry, when to eat, and when to drink. So the eating and drinking is natural. Have you ever seen a baby? It puts its hand down its mouth when it's hungry. We don't have to teach babies that they need to eat. We know it. It's the hypothalamus performing that. Do you know what it tells the alcoholic, Monty?
To drink?
It tells them to drink alcohol. Yeah. So that's why the book talks about an entire psychic change. So if my hypothalamus is saying drink alcohol, and that's why alcoholics can go, weeks without eating, just drinking alcohol. And that's when the body starts going into shutdown. Yeah. Because that's what it's telling us. So we have to change our own brain. So by the time it goes over to the prefrontal cortex, the prefrontal cortex has one job and one job only, and that's to come up with a solution as quick as it can. And it is amazing at that. Bang, it's off. Boom, done. The only thing with alcoholics is it tells it to drink alcohol again. So you have two parts of the brain that's telling you to drink. That's why it's all important that it's not a drinking problem. It's a thinking problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and so we talk about it all the time. When I remember when I first, my first year, in my 12-step fellowship, my sponsor told me, he says, I want you to take everything you know about everything and hit the pause button. And I said, everything? It was everything. I said, even what I know about God? And he goes, I said, everything. Because what if you're wrong? If you're right, no harm done.
Yeah.
But what if you're not? And I discovered that my thinking was messed up about 99.9% of everything that I conceived of. I mean, it was a wreck, man. But I didn't have a clue, you know. And God was the one that gave me that willingness to follow my sponsor's directions, because I certainly didn't have it. It had to come from a power greater than me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. I love that. I love it. I've had people come to me and they say, "Can I do this without a spiritual side of life?" And I tell them, no, you can't.
No.
I've never seen one case anyway. I mean, you know, one of the misquoted lines in 12-step runs, "I can choose a God of my own understanding."
Right.
Never says that.
Misquoted.
I choose a God as I understand him with a capital H. So, you know, there's 2,600 gods. Pick one, for God's sake. Just pick one and move forward. And like you said, if you're right or you're wrong, I mean, you're winning anyway. You know, what have you got to lose? Well, and I was stubborn. You know, I was like, you believe it's something I can't see, smell, touch? It's going to solve my problems and this stupid book? Are you kidding me? You know? And I had people come today. One girl come a couple of weeks ago, and she's like, I'm trying to take her through some stuff. And she's like, Dr. Robb, I have trust issues. I said, trust issues? I saw you climbing into a car with 4 drug addicts last week. Where was your trust issues then? You know, you either want to get well or you don't. And people think that I'm too harsh. You see, when we go into clubs sometimes, and little Johnny's had a relapse, this was, you know, any club, and they're all over him, patting him on the back, and the women are making a fuss of him, and they go, "Hey, Rob, can you get him a glass of water? He's had a relapse." No, I can't, because this is his 16th time coming in here. Mm-hmm. How many silver chips do you want? You know, do you like the adoration when you get up? Why aren't you on the same program and got me to a different place? Yeah. That's what we should be talking about. Not there. That's not going to cut the mustard when you would stab somebody in the face for a drink. Are you kidding me? This is hardcore stuff, and it's really hard to do. Mm-hmm. The book said it's easy, but not simple, but not easy. You know, it's so simple, but it's not as easy, because you can do 99% of your work, but the 1% will kill you. Mm-hmm. And I try and express that to people. It's like every meeting, I teach a book study in San Antonio. Every Saturday morning when I start, I say, "Hey, who's done a step 10 last night?" And out of 25 people, 2 might stick around it. And I explain to them, you can't, it is not McDonald's. You can't pick and choose what you want. Yeah. You know, you're all in. So you need to do this stuff. And I'm hardcore. And, you know, you either love me or you hate me. And if you hate me, I'm going to pray for you. You know, it's just the way it is, because I'm the guy, as you know, Monty, that speaks what other people think. Oh, I can't say that. Oh, yeah, I can. Don't worry about that. I'll stand up right now and say it. Sure. You know, I've got no problems. You know? Yeah, I had somebody email me here about a month ago or so, just livid about me using my last name in a meeting. And, oh my God. And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't know if you've ever read any of the literature. I asked this person this. I said, I don't know if you've read any of the literature in our program, but would you agree? Can we at least agree on the fact that conference-approved literature, that it's probably pretty accurate, and we probably ought to go by? Oh yeah, I agree with that. Okay. Well, let me read you from Dr. Bob and the Good Old Timers conference-approved literature, where Dr. Bob says there is no room for personal anonymity within our fellowship. Boom. Oh my God, you should have seen their mouth drop, brother. Oh my goodness, I love that. Yeah. I love it. In fact, we are, according to that piece of literature, we are to refer to ourselves in public as AAs. Yes. Boy, that goes against what a lot of people think, because they've been taught wrong. They've been taught wrong. Yeah, they have, you know, and, you know, God bless them. They think they're right when they come up with this stuff. And it's like, guys, I love you to bits. Don't worry about that, but you're wrong here. You are so wrong. Yeah. And something needs to be done. And that's what I started doing over the last 15, 16 years I've been in America was, you know, I started working with people over here and people getting well, and other people didn't like that. you know. And I know even treatment centers, they frown on me, but there's a bunch of great ones out there, including Teen Challenge, one of the best, you know, that do the real deal. And I love them guys, but the guys that are taking little Johnny in for his 4th and 5th time in the same treatment center, paying $30,000 a month. I've got no time for you guys.
No.
Where's your buy-in? You know, what are you doing to these kids?
Right.
I'm just not standing for that stuff anymore. You know, we used to get complaints, but we never answered them, so they've stopped now.
Yeah. We have a no barriers policy. I mean, if we're going to get a guy in, but if a guy keeps coming in and out, we're not going to say no to him, but he's not going to come back to our center.
Yes.
You know,
so if there's no change, there's no change.
No, because we teach people how to treat us, right? We teach them that. And if we're teaching you that when you get thirsty, you can just leave and go drink or do whatever you do, and then you got a nice warm bed every time you come back.
Yes.
We're teaching you how to kill yourself.
Yes, exactly.
And we're saying it's okay. Yeah.
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 I like that. Yeah. I love it.
I hear you.
I love it.
I hear you. Well, brother, what else you got for us to wrap this thing up?
Well, I want to talk about the promises for a bit. There's 130 something promises in the first 164, that great book that we all love. And I want to say that every single promise will come true for you if you do the deal. But I also want to say, and I often say this, so excuse me, guys, if you've heard this before, but it's so true. You know, if you're sat out there thinking you can't achieve anything and you're not up to much and just this is your lot in life, I want to apologize to you guys because somebody's put that there.
Right.
Alcoholics and addicts are born with $1 million minds. Believe me, I've worked with most of them. Stop hanging around 10-cent minds. Stop it. Find your niche. Get in there. With it, build you up. Like, I want to do this. It's like, really, Rob? I don't think nobody ever said that to me in my circle. Plenty of them out there said to it, Rob, you're homeless. How can you be one of the best addiction doctors in the world? That's it. That's just stupid, Rob. No. I surround myself with people who thought that was a good idea. And what I did is I fed off that, you know, and I worked hard as a recovered alcoholic. And we do good turns every day. We try and compliment people. We give money to people. We send them stuff. We'll pay for the rent. Whatever it is you need, if it's possible, we're going to do it for you because that's what keeps me sober today. You know, and people go, oh, it's just for 24 hours. No. The 24 hours is not drink today. The 24 hours is how can I enjoy today, right now at 12:36 Central Time, speaking to Monty on this radio show, and that's how you slow life down. Because I'll tell you something, guys, and I'm being serious. I went to bed last night, I was 29. I woke up this morning, I'm nearly 60. That's how fast life goes.
Yeah.
So if you get in the rooms, guys, and you get a good sponsor, and you started working the program, and all these things start happening to you, man, treasure it and pass it on. Treasure it and pass it on, because don't put limits on your success. Quantum physics tells us I can be 25 places at the same time on a basketball court because nothing's really solid. Quantum physics, a proven known science. Where would I want to be? Over near the goal. So when I get the ball, I'm going to smash it in the net, and I'm going to be the hero of the game. I know what you're thinking, guys out there. How do I get there? Easy. You walk over and you take that position. You see what you visualize in your mind, you can hold in your hand. I dare you to prove me wrong. I dare you to prove me wrong.
So this
and the best one, Monty, I can't be president. I beg to differ. A businessman was president last term. You can do anything you want to do in life.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, you know, here's the thing, too, when you referred to the 24 hours thing, it drives me crazy when people say use that one day at a time thing in relationship to not drinking or not using. I believe our co-founders said that you needed to be ready to be done with drinking for good and for all.
Yes.
That means you're done for good and for all, not just for today.
Yes. Yeah, I love that.
Did we get this? I mean, I get the whole one day at a time concept. I do. And I know we only have today and tomorrow's not here and all those cutesy little sayings, but did we get that from the treatment centers too? Where did we get this? You know, just don't drink today, don't worry about tomorrow.
Yeah, they mixed it up. You see, they come in and they start misquoting our book, you know, all the time. Every single time they misquote it and think it's okay, and it's not. You know, even the stains on the wall, they're amazing, but, you know, they're into the wives, not into the family. They're not in, you know, the alcoholics that's recovering, because what you need to do is grab a book and do some hard work. I know when I do my book study, I'm looking for must words, what I must do, vital, must, whatever they are, messages, what the authors want me to read. I'm looking for promises, and I'm looking for God words, 351 God words, and the first one, 6:4. And you break the book down and you get well, period. If you don't get well, what does the first edition say, Monty? Reread it again or throw it away.
Right. Right. And you know, the thing that's beautiful about this too, and we did a whole series on our show several years ago. Every step there's prayer, and every step there's promises to every step. Not just the ninth step. Every step has promises. They're amazing. You just got to read them. You know, I've gone through the book with so many, and they go, I've sat in big book shares, not big book studies, big book shares, and I never saw that before. That's because it was a big book share. You guys read a paragraph and then talked about your day and passed it to the next person. That's not a study. When you study this stuff comes alive, and you see all the amazing promises that are written in that book. It'll blow your mind. You know, the ninth step promise, when it says, you know, if we are painstaking about this phase of our development, what are they talking about? They're talking about the amends phase. They're not talking about step one. You know, step one has its own promises. Step two has its own promises. You don't have to get to step 9 to get promises. You start it, like you said, right away. Things will start happening.
Exactly. Yeah. It's very important for you guys to know. You know, this is the third alcoholic recovered immediately. Because you're hearing it, well, you didn't get sick overnight, so you can't get well overnight. That's not true.
That's not true.
No. You come in, you could, if you're in San Antonio anytime, guys, come into the San Antonio meeting, call me, I'll give you the address. If you're struggling, come in. It's Saturday, 9:30 till 11, and a meeting from 11 till 12. Let me tell you, you'll walk out a different person, because nobody's going to let you out of that room without a book in your hand. That'll cost you nothing. And the first 1, 2, or 3 done right there in your car. End of story. That's what we're talking about. You know? Don't wait for this. What are you waiting for? Why are you waiting? Well, I'm doing a step a month because fire your sponsor.
Step a month.
Fire him. Don't be scared to do that. This is your life we're talking about.
Right.
Well, you know, I think stop it. Find someone who's going to take you through, who's had the spiritual awakening, psychic change, and get him to take you through it and get it done, and then get out there and enjoy life and help people.
Speaking of San Antonio, did you attend the World AA convention in San Antonio?
I did not, and I don't know why, but I must have been busy. Otherwise, I'd have gone there definitely. Yeah,
I was at that function, and the city said it was the largest convention of people in the history of San Antonio.
Yeah, I think I know where it was. It's like a huge. I think it's a basketball court. I forget what they call it. It's a huge. It's one of the. Well, it is the biggest gathering of people in that. I want to call it a stadium. It's not a stadium, but it looks like one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, when you go up in that, whatever you call that thing, that Space Needle kind of doohickey. Yes. And I'm up in that thing looking down, and there were so many people, you could not see where a sidewalk stopped and a street began. That's how many people. It was absolutely phenomenal. And you'd walk by these little side bars that were up and down the streets, and you could see in the front door and then see out the back door. There wasn't anybody in there.
Wow.
They were all outside and they were sober.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome.
Yeah, it was an amazing event, and I had never been to San Antonio until that day. It was like 104, and it was raining on and off. And nobody complained, man. Everybody was just so grateful. You know what I
mean? Yeah. Wow. Awesome.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. Well, brother, thank you so very much.
My pleasure, as always. Every month I'll be on here, guys. I love this show. I was promoting this show. I was going to do it on my Facebook and all my platforms, guys. You know, this show is amazing. I look forward to this, and such an honor and a pleasure to come on here with Monty, because I'm telling you now, me and Monty have never met, but I'm telling you, it's the real deal. And I love time, because I'm busy. I got to tell you guys, I'm busy. I start at 7, finish at 7. crazy busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always got time for Monty. And don't forget, guys, we also have a 10-week course to become a sober coach or a recovery coach. If you want to find out more details, follow us or go to recovermecoaching.com, and a good start. So if you get sober and clean and you want to do something different, then go on, guys. You can do anything. I swear to God, you can do anything. I can't express that enough.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, listeners, we have a dedicated webpage for this show. If you go to take12radio.com and click on Recovery Workshops, there you'll find the Robb Kelly Hour, past shows, as well as links to his website as well, so you can find out more information about what this guy is doing in the recovery community and around the world. Great stuff, brother. Thank you so much, so very much. Our closing song this week is by Amanda Broadway, and it's entitled I Surrender. Here's Amanda.
How can you see through the muddy waters in me? I can't catch the thoughts between the lines. Nothing seems right to define these feelings in me, all like broken glass. I'm treading on another night from dusk to dawn. Then another morning comes and nothing changes. Yeah, I know time takes time, so I accept that just for today. I am broken and I'm afraid of surrender. What a mess I've made. I've trampled love and run away. I've hid from insecurities. Still I can't find relief of this indigestion with the clog in my emotions. I lay down on my pillow and the tears fall, 'cause nothing changes. Yeah, I know time takes time, so I accept that just for today. I am broken and I'm afraid of surrender. The only place I need to live. I learn to love and to forgive in the meantime. And I find peace in the hope that you believe in me, that you see something that I don't. Yeah, something's changing. Yeah, I know time takes time, so I accept that just for today. I am broken, but I'm okay, 'cause I surrender. No, I don't have to fight anymore. No. Whoa, yeah, I surrender.
And that is the soul-piercing music of our friend Amanda Broadway. To experience more of her great music, visit her website at amandabroadwayband.com. All right. A very special thank you to the addiction doctor, Dr. Robb Kelly, for this episode of the Robb Kelly Hour. Don't forget, if you want to step out of the disease and into the solution and you need help, please visit robbkelly.com. There you will find the Robb Kelly Group. Until our next broadcast, this is the Monty Man along with Dr. Robb Kelly, and we are wishing God's perfect serenity for you.
This has been a broadcast of Take 12 Recovery Radio and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
Kitty, 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 kitty. Meow, meow, meow.
Woof, woof.